Jai Jinendra. Welcome to the second session of topic delusion. We will start with Manglacharan. Namo Arihantanam, Namo Siddhanam, Namo Ayariyanam, Namo Uvajjayanam, Namo Loe Savvasahunam. Mangalam Bhagavan Viro, Mangalam Gautamo Gani, Mangalam Kunda Kundaryo, Jaina Dharmostu Mangalam. Delusion or Mithyatva. It is the wrong belief because of which all the JEEV in this universe are going through troubles. A JEEV is constantly facing unhappiness because of delusion. Delusion is the main root cause for JEEV's unhappiness. We saw in the last session that because of delusion, that young girl was serving as a servant for her entire life, and when she realized that she is the owner of the house, that realization itself was the main root cause for her changing the tides and becoming happy. Imagine that you are going through a fever, and that fever is caused because of excess heat in your body. But now you don't realize that it is because of excess heat, and instead you do the treatment to increase the heat in your body further, and your fever will always worsen. So your very belief that this fever is because of coldness in my body, and if I increase the heat it will go away, that very belief itself is the root cause for further miseries. Or another example, imagine that you're earning a lot, and your entire earning you're giving it to somebody for investing or for saving, and that person itself cheats you and takes your all earning away. Then it will lead to a lot of unhappiness. So the very belief that this person is actually a good person and he will save my money, he will grow my money, that very belief is the main reason for person's unhappiness. Similarly, in our day-to-day life, the very belief that the material things such as a good car, good food, good clothes will make me happy or will satisfy my needs, that very belief is actually the reason for Jeev's unhappiness, and this is called delusion. Jeev actually attains happiness only if he looks at himself with introspection, and the sukh or happiness would come from within. However, not knowing this, Jeev is constantly desiring new and new things, and he may get those things or he may not get those things. It depends on the situation. If he gets those things, he imagines that he is happy, but that is actually not happiness. And if he doesn't get those things, he is obviously not happy. So the very belief that any other substance can make me happy, that itself is delusion, and that is the main root cause for Jeev's unhappiness. Today we are going to look at two types of delusion. There are many ways of classifying delusion, and through different sessions we will look at other methods of classification. But today we are going to focus on the very fundamental ways of classifying delusion. There are two ways. One is called unacquired delusion or eternal delusion, and second is acquired delusion or temporary delusion. Excuse me. The unacquired delusion is a delusion that is existing with soul since eternity. It has never been acquired, but it has always been there with the soul. Whereas the acquired delusion is some beliefs that this soul has acquired newly in the present life. As you all know, when we go from one life to the other, all the things that we gained new in terms of our knowledge gets washed away and we start afresh in the next life. So any new belief which is wrong and it is actually enhancing the unhappiness of soul is called acquired belief because it is newly acquired in the present life. We are going to look at what are these unacquired and acquired beliefs. Why is soul unhappy because of that? And how do we get rid of that? Okay, this is our topic of today's session. Let's start with the unacquired delusions. So the soul, since eternity, while it is a pure substance that is knowing things, however, since eternity, it is always seen in combination with some kind of bodily forms. A soul, when it is impure, is never seen by itself. You can only see the soul in a combined form with a bodily form, such as there are 4 types of life forms as we all know: Manushya or humans, Dev or heavenly beings, Narak or hellish beings, and Tiryansh, which is animals. So you would see a soul only when you see a dog in its dog body, or you would see a soul only when you see a humanly body. One cannot see a impure soul in its own form by itself. So soul has always been found in a combined form since eternity. Just like there is gold in the mine, or there are diamonds in the mine. Those impure gold or impure diamond are not found in its pure form. They are always found in that impurity. The gold is always found in a combination with various sand and other dirt. However, the gold molecules in itself are pure by nature. However, its surroundings is those sand particles which is impure. Similarly, soul by itself is a substance which is pure soul. However, it is always found in a combination with other non-living substances. Now, the mistake that soul does is because it is always found along with non-living substances, soul by mistake believes that this non-living body is me. So having its own self impersonated in the body is one of the biggest mistakes or one of the biggest delusions that soul has had eternally. So even when I am a human, I feel that this humanly body is me. Let's say if I am a cat, the body of the cat is what I will feel is me. Let's say I am a hellish being or heavenly being. The body of those beings is what I will feel as me. There are 7 different types of basic knowledge that one must acquire and understand very well in order to get rid of this eternal or unacquired delusion. Such as there are soul, there are non-living substances in the world, there are emotions or passions such as anger, deceit, liking, disliking. All of these emotions are not actually happiness. They are a part of my unhappiness. Similarly, if I introspect, I can feel the actual happiness, the true happiness from within. This true happiness is different from all the passions that we would have experienced in the past. And if one follows that path of inner happiness, one can attain the complete happiness, which is moksha. So there are these 7 so-called tattva, which means the basic nature of things around us. These tattva are the essential knowledge that one must learn and understand in its true form so that one can get rid of this unacquired delusions. As I said, for example, I am soul or JEEV tattva. I am always found in combination with this bodily form. The body is non-living substance and it's a JEEV tattva. My own passions, such as anger, deceit, liking, disliking, all of these are rag, dvesh, bhav, and they are asra. Similarly, when I am engaged in these kind of passions, these passions lead to new karma being bound with me, with soul. This is called bandh. However, when soul identifies oneself and gets engrossed in oneself, there is a true happiness that he would experience for the first time ever in eternity. This is called samvar, the actual feeling of happiness. When one continuously engages in oneself and gets more and more engrossed, feels more and more happy from within, gets true happiness from inside, that is called nirjara. And on that path, if one continues, gets the monkhood, and eventually becomes Bhagwan or God, that is moksha. So the actual path of happiness is what comes from within, not from substances outside. So Jeev or soul has been believing since eternity that the substances from outside are the reason for my happiness, which is the unacquired delusion, which is the main mistake Jeev has been doing since ever. And this can be corrected when one understands these bare minimum 7 things or 7 tattva, its true meaning and its true explanation or the feeling. That way one can get rid of unacquired delusions. Let's move on to acquired delusion, the newly captured wrong beliefs. Normally in human life, every human wants to become happy. And to become happy, we follow different types of teachings. There are so many different theories and philosophies flying around us. These theories are usually floated by some so-called gods or some so-called scriptures or some saints. So there are always 3 things: gods, scriptures and saints. These 3, if they are conveying the true path of how to achieve happiness, then they are called Suguru, Sushastra and Sudev, Suguru, Sushastra and Suguru. Dev, Shastra, Guru. Su means correct. However, these very positions, if they are conveying a wrong way of how you would achieve happiness, so basically they are misguiding you, then they are called Kuguru, Kushastra and Kudev. Kudev, Kukshastra, Kuguru. When in the present life form, as I said, there are so many theories flying around. If by mistake a soul starts getting engrossed in any of such misbeliefs, then he can very easily get digressed from the true path of happiness. There is already an unacquired delusion, which is wrong belief since eternity. On top of that, when one doesn't know the right way or right approach and gets misguided by Kuguru, Kushastra or Kudev, there would be a second layer of delusion on top of the unacquired delusion, which is the second acquired delusion. Acquired delusion would basically add another layer of misbelief on top of what was already there. So now it becomes all the more difficult to get rid of these delusions, and one is always unhappy trying to follow a wrong path. I will give you an example. There are so many people who believe that if you worship a tree, then the tree will actually take care of you. He will always give you good health, he will give you good food, etc. Excuse me. However, as you obviously know, a tree is actually one-sensed organism. It is a one-sense life. It is not a god, neither it is a guru, but one can very wrongly believe in such kind of beliefs. There are so many beliefs that actually propagate killing or violence. One thinks that if you kill an animal and worship your god with that animal, that will actually serve you good. Now you tell me, how can violence be path to happiness? It is completely wrong belief. Similarly, there are many scriptures. These scriptures actually, instead of showing you the path of within, showing you the path of soul, these scriptures actually digress you by showing you wrong beliefs and takes you into completely different direction. Such as a scripture could actually tell you to keep doing your deed and the God will take care of you. Now, what is that deed that one must keep doing? For example, if someone is a butcher, is butchering those innocent animals is a deed that you should keep doing, and will that lead you to the path of happiness? One has to understand, think very logically, and be very clear in your mind that if one wants to be happy, a path to violence will never get you to happiness. Similarly, a path to make or troubling any other soul, not only humans, any other soul, will always lead to unhappiness, whether it is your unhappiness or the other person's unhappiness. There are many gurus, so-called gurus, they will actually tell you to do social service. For example, this is a very, very common misbelief. Every different types of religion will tell you to do social service, help others, help poor, and be happy. Yes, it is a good thing to do social service, and one must do social service, one must help out poor people, give them food, support education. However, one must realize that that is not a religion. It is part of our social service that we are supporting other fellow souls in our life. It is a good thing to do, and it should bring you calmness. It should bring you basically satisfaction. However, it is not a path to happiness. Happiness or religion is something that always is a path towards inside. Anything outside, whether it is a material thing like a house, like a clothes, or your car, etc., or living things such as other animal, other humans, helping them, not helping them, killing them, not killing them. All of these are in a way influencing our passions, our feeling, our thought process. However, anything outside is actually not making you happy or unhappy. This is a very important point. See, just few minutes ago I said that if you're killing an animal and worshipping God with it, it is not a path to happiness. Even animal is something outside of you, right? It is another entity. God is also another entity. So one entity, you worshipping one entity with help of another, this is not an actual worship. When you from within actually feel like worshipping God, that feeling from inside is the real worship. When one has a lot of respect for uh, um, God who is an omniscient, God who is passionless, that feeling of revering those gods, actually that itself is your worship. Similarly, one gets a full belief that I am soul, and that soul itself has capability to become passionless and become an omniscient. That belief in itself will get you a total complete introspection, and you will get engrossed inside. That moment is called Samyak Darshan, or that moment is actually the real happiness. So let's recap. Today we looked at two types of delusion, unacquired delusion and acquired delusion. Unacquired delusion is actually the correct is wrong belief of those basic 7 things or Sat Tattva. And when you get the correct belief of those Sat Tattva, you can get rid of unacquired delusion. Acquired delusion is essentially wrong beliefs acquired through Kudev, Kushastra and Kuguru. When one realizes what is the actual nature of soul and the people who are going to get you to that actual nature of soul, whether it is Dev, Shastra or Guru, then those are called correct Sudev, Sushastra and Suguru. So following that correct path can help you get rid of acquired delusion. When one gets rid of acquired and unacquired delusion, both, that is the true path towards oneself. That is the true path of real happiness. In our next session, we will look at another types of classification of delusion. Till then, Jai Jinendra. We will end with Jinwani Stuti. He Jinwani Bharati Tohi Japo Din Rain Jo Teri Sharanagrahe So Pave Sukh Chain Javani Ke Gyan Te Suje Lokalo So Vani Mastak Namo Sada Det Hu Jai Jinendra to everyone.